Hi, my name's Mark Ritchie. I'm Scottish. I'm living in England and I work as an evangelist that travels all over the country and also actually all over the world, telling people about Jesus and trying to connect people with God. So I've got two kids. One's called Jordan, he's just turned 18, and I've got a daughter called Kezia who's 15, and I'm married to Tamsin and we live in Nottingham. And then my mum and dad, they live up in Edinburgh in Scotland. So I absolutely love football, and I've just watched the World Cup like an absolutely crazy guy. But my football team is Nottingham Forest, and my son Jordan and me will go and watch Forest. And being a Christian that loves football and gets very passionate about football, I've got to be very careful. Once I was really shouting at the referee, and my son was next to me, he was really laughing because he hoped that the referee might come to church the next day and it would be a bit awkward, and so I have to rein my passion in. But I really love football, it's amazing. So when I'm watching the World Cup, it's always a little bit tricky because I'm Scottish, so obviously Scotland were not at the World Cup. But because my wife and my kids are kind of English, I was supporting England, but that only lasted a really short time. But I actually had predicted that Germany would win the whole World Cup, so I was delighted when they did. And my son thought Argentina was going to win, so that made it even sweeter as I was able to kind of tell him to pipe down. So it was great rivalry in our house with the World Cup. Forever I'm humbled by your love. I remember clearly when I became a Christian. I was around about 12 and my dad was actually preaching, he was the minister. And I can remember really like it was like a defining moment where I went forward and I actually knew that I'd given my life to Christ. Lots of my mates kind of drifted away from God, but you know, I never ever did. And that one day that I passionately decided I'm a Christian, I never ever went back on that. And you know, I don't know if there are parents watching this, but you know, maybe your kids, you're thinking maybe they're going to drift away, but it doesn't have to happen because I made a commitment when I was 12 and I never went back on that. I love God right the way through. Take my life, take all that I am, with all that I am. When I was 16, we used to have this youth club at our church that was full of young people that were off the housing estate, and they were a bit crazy, and I was given the chance at 16 to speak, and it was a bit of a sort of kind of graveyard slot because it was very difficult to talk in front of them. They were really agitated and they'd shout out, and lots of other people found it very difficult. And I got up when I was 16 and I gave this talk for 10 minutes, and I'd never preached before, and at the end 5 of them made like a response for God. I was only young and I didn't understand at that time that that doesn't happen for everyone. I just thought, wow, you know, that must just be how preaching is. And it was only as I began to develop as a preacher that I realized that God had given me like a gift. And I can remember really clearly starting to feel the calling of God. I remember going forward to in a church service and just sobbing about the lost. I remember my dad gave me good advice though. My dad said, listen Mark, don't go straight to Bible college. You know, get a job, see what life's like, and then go. And I did that. And I went to Bible college and I was there for 3 years, and I went and became an assistant minister in a big church in England. And it was incredible. But what I really understood was that everything that I was doing was all about souls. And a guy came and said to me, Mark, you might not understand this, but you are an evangelist. And I asked people around me, and men of God said to me, yeah, it's true, you're an evangelist. And that was the day that I decided that I was going to go on the road and be an itinerant evangelist. And like I've never looked back, it was amazing. In 2011, there were riots all over England, and I remember watching them and being devastated by this and thinking, it's like Britain is hurting itself. It's like it's damaging itself. And I got really moved, and I felt God call me to put the cross in front of Britain. At first I just thought that was the message of the cross, but as God unpacked it, I realised that God actually wanted me to put the physical cross in front of Britain. So in August 2012, we set off with a cross. It was a cylindrical cross where people could come and write post-it notes and actually put the post-it notes inside the cross. And 13,000 people wrote on post-it notes and put their sins inside the cross. We saw amazing healings. We walked from Brighton at the bottom of England up to Edinburgh at the top, and then we got shot round to Wrexham in Wales and across to Hull. We walked in the shape of a cross. It took us 70 days and we covered 700 miles. But you know, I felt like I put the cross in front of Britain. Some rejected it, some accepted it, but no one ignored it. And this is what we're about, the passionate desire to put the cross in front of Britain.